you're opposed to the Israel apartheid wall, for example, even being there, but that's an expression of free speech that you disagree with. Your response to the apartheid wall is obviously an expression of opinion that you would disagree with and find offensive. So why are you opposed to their expression of it?
Well, excuse me. It's a good question. It's a fair question. I was actually supporting, I want to see the principle of respect for the other implemented across the board. Now, I do think that there's a conflict between the principles of diversity in which people are forced to follow what you might call a politically correct line as far as any group is concerned, and freedom of speech. I think, but we're in a university. And a university is like a rare 4 years that you have to elevate your thought, to really learn an elevated discourse. And I'm not for calling the campus police to tear down the apartheid wall, as offensive as it may be. But I would like to see the university community express the same kind of distaste for the apartheid wall as they would for a noose put on a professor's door, as happened at Columbia, where they practically shut the university down over it. Now, if you want to defend nooses on professors' doors, black professors, of course, all right. I think civility is an important value. I actually think, I don't think there's any way to undo this, but in 1964, there was a so-called free speech movement on the Berkeley campus. Because it was organized by leftists, it really wasn't about free speech. What it was about was the right to conduct political activities on campus, recruit for political organizations, for example. The university capitulated, and I think that opened a Pandora's box that we can't close. The university should not be, you know, like, I don't know, the Hannity and Combs show. It's a university. So if people feel, if Palestinian students on this campus feel that, you know, that the Palestinians are oppressed, there should be a civil way to express that, rather than have a hate-filled wall confronting students when they're walking through the quad. If you have a quad here, you do, I think. So anyway, that's a good question. But I didn't call for the, I've just characterized the wall. What you do about it is another matter. I do think if faculty and the student government here express their displeasure with that kind of expression. Look, when I submit an ad to the Daily Bruin, they put me through the ringer. I'm not allowed to say, and the editor started with, my ad was called "The Palestinian Case Against Israel is a Genocidal Lie." Well, he said, you can't generalize about Palestinian. So he says, you got to take that out. And then if I use the word Arab, it's like saying, if you say Americans celebrated or glad to see Osama bin Laden dead, well, there are a lot of Americans that weren't glad, like Noam Chomsky. But would you, if you were the editor, what I'm saying is I'm censored. And I don't see the same attitude displayed towards other people. I mean, I'm willing to dance with the censor. I changed it. I said the case against Israel is based on a genocidal lie. I'm willing to, and I changed Arab to Arab states. Israel was not attacked by Arabs, it was attacked by Arab states. Okay?
Can I
So, yeah.
really quick response to that? But isn't genocidal at least, if not more so, a charged word than apartheid? And
Is what?
isn't genocidal your word and your thing at least as charged? Isn't genocidal at least as charged toward this apartheid?
Sure.
So are you advocating that they censor the other people as much as they censor
You know, look, like I said, if there's a set of rules, I'll abide by them. Look, a war is being conducted against Israel on this campus and against Jews on this campus. That's my view of it. So I'm in the war, and I will fight fire with fire. And I wish the Jewish organizations on this campus, which didn't support my wall and didn't support my speech here, would do so. I want them to fight. However, I would really like to see the university enforce rules of civility. You have this on, you know, if you go on the web and if you're in academic websites, they never allow you to personalize an attack and so forth and so on. There are rules, and it changes the nature of the discourse. If this is a place where people are supposed to learn, the emotional noise is destructive to learning. I agree with you. I mean, if that's your position. All right, we can talk later.
If you have a question, feel free to line up on the two mics here.
Hi, Mr. Horowitz.
Oh, there you are.
Yes. I'm hoping that you could clarify something because you're both in the same area. The majority of the black people and the majority of the Jews in this country seem to be on the left. Now, you went full circle, so maybe you can shed some light.
I only went half circle.
Well, whatever circle you went from one side to the other, and so perhaps you could shed some light. Now, I do know some conservatives. It makes sense to me that they would be conservative, but for the most part, they aren't.
Well, those are two different large questions. I introduced the privilege of introducing Norman Horowitz at the Skirball Center, and for his last book, and thanked him for writing it because it's called "Why Are Jews Liberal?" And I said, well, now I don't have to answer that question anymore. I don't think I can answer that in a short enough time for this evening, particularly since you put two groups in there. I will say that from my point of view, now I marched in my first civil rights march in 1948, believe it or not, which is more than probably the parents of the students in this room longer ago than they were born. And it's always been close to my heart, the civil rights struggle. And I think one of the greatest obstacles for the black community to advance is that it's a captive of the political left. And you can see it in this. And I mean, this young woman who walked out, I mean, her mind is closed. She can't handle, you know, she should have stayed and expressed her point of view. And I would have answered her. I think it's just a terrible burden on the black community that it's so monolithic. And I'm hoping that will change. And I think it will. I mean, Republicans have elected several black congressmen, including the charismatic Allen West. Well, you all will have an opportunity if you want to hear Allen West because we're hosting him on July 19th. Just follow it on our website and come and enjoy it. So, you know, hopefully that will change. And perhaps the Jewish community will wake up now that its backs to the wall. So.